He charges the glass, pounds the walls. Visitors scream, handlers rush in, but nothing stops him. The gorilla's name is Cholo, a 400 lb silverback with eyes like storm clouds and a heart nobody can reach. Every day he stalks the corners of his enclosure, fists clenched, jaws tight, as if he's trapped inside a memory no one else can see. Rescued years ago from a violent trafficking ring in Central Africa, Cholo was just a baby when smugglers killed his troop and stuffed him into a crate. Now at the city zoo, he's fully grown and furious. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of his fists against reinforced plexiglass echoes through the zoo like a warning bell. Children cry, parents pull them back. A tourist mutters, "He shouldn't be here." Another asks, "Why haven't they transferred him?" But the zookeepers know this isn't just aggression. This is something else, something deeper. They've tried everything. Enrichment toys, specialized diets, quiet routines. They even removed reflective surfaces, thinking maybe his own reflection was the trigger. It didn't help. Some staff whisper that Cholo's brain is broken, that years of captivity erased whatever instincts he had left. Others argue he's dangerous, that he should be sent to a sanctuary far from the public. But Dr. Vega sees something different. New to the zoo, Dr. Liana Vega isn't a trainer or a handler. She's a primatologist with a focus on audio cognition. She's been tracking Cholo's patterns for weeks, watching his outbursts, listening to his vocalizations, documenting his pacing intervals like a code waiting to be cracked. And one evening, as the zoo closes and the last visitors drift away, she walks into the observation room holding a small speaker. "Let me try something," she says. Her colleagues exchange glances. We've played sounds before. White noise, rainforest ambiance, even music. Dr. Vega shakes her head. Not these sounds. She places the speaker near a small metal slot in the enclosure wall, one of the few places sound can travel clearly inside. She takes a breath and hits play. Outside, Cholo is pacing again, banging, huffing, eyes wild. Inside the speaker, a low rumble begins. Chest beats, distant grunts, and behind it all the unmistakable hiss and chirp of the Gabonese rainforest. Cholo stops mid-step. The room goes silent. He tilts his head, takes one step toward the wall, then another. He lowers his body to the ground slowly, deliberately, and presses his ear to the slot. Dr. Vega doesn't move. Her recorder is running, her pulse racing. Then, without warning, Cholo exhales a deep guttural sound, a vocalization no one has ever heard from him before. He's not just hearing it, he's remembering. And the entire room knows they've just unlocked something ancient, something forgotten. A faint crackle, then thump, thump, thump. It's the sound of chest beats, deep, resonant, unmistakably wild. The forest ambiance grows behind it. Distant bird calls, insects, then a low grunt, followed by another. Cholo doesn't blink. He's frozen at the slot in the wall. Massive frame hunched low, ear pressed so tightly it looks like he's trying to merge with the metal. The recording plays on. Dr. Vega watches from behind the glass. "He's still," she whispers. It's the first time she's ever said those words aloud. No pacing, no slamming, not even a breath out of rhythm. And then something even stranger. Cholo makes a sound. A single slow, vibrating grunt. Not aggressive, not confused. Something more mournful, as if he's answering. The zoo technician monitoring the feed leans closer. "Was that?" Dr. Vega nods. It's a response. Cholo shifts again. He plants his knuckles on the ground and leans in close enough now that his cheek brushes the steel. His pupils are wide, dilated. His nostrils flare as he inhales, then lets out a second vocalization. This one higher-pitched, quivering at the end. Then it happens. The next grunt on the recording, one from a wild silverback deep in Gabon, plays and Cholo answers with the exact same sound. Perfect pitch, perfect rhythm, perfect sequence. The technician's mouth falls open. One of the handlers stumbles back a step. A volunteer claps a hand to her mouth. He remembers. Someone whispers. Dr. Vega's fingers tighten around her notepad. This isn't mimicry. It's not coincidence. It's memory. For minutes, the back and forth continues. A call from the wild. A reply from captivity. And each time, Cholo's body seems to unravel. His shoulders lowering, his breath slowing, his eyes softening. It's as if something inside him, something buried long ago, is rising to the surface. The speaker plays a final grunt, followed by soft rustling leaves and distant drumming rain. Cholo closes his eyes. Then slowly, almost reverently, he lies down on his side, one hand still resting near the speaker slot. His chest rises and falls in long, rhythmic breaths. Calm, present, a world away from the beast they once feared. Dr. Vega doesn't speak, doesn't move. She doesn't move. She only watches, because what unfolds before her eyes isn't science anymore. It's resurrection. It's memory taking breath. It's trauma, once buried beneath layers of silence and steel, suddenly finding its voice. It's the past reaching forward, touching the present through the fragile thread of sound, awakening the soul of something everyone once called broken. The rain that fills the air isn't real. It's recorded. Yet somehow it feels alive. Gentle patters of droplets merge with the soft croaks of distant frogs and the measured rhythm of cicadas, the breath of a jungle reborn within 4 glass walls. Cholo shifts, his massive frame now upright, his back resting against the cool wall near the speaker. His great hands lie heavy on his knees, fingers barely twitching as if the echoes in the air are tugging at invisible strings inside him. He sways, almost imperceptibly, in time with the sounds of home. It's been days since the first recording played, and everything has changed. The violence has faded. No more furious charges, no thunder of fists against the glass. The restless pacing has quieted too, replaced by long, haunting stillness. Moments like this when his eyes flutter closed and all that remains is listening. The zoo staff, once skeptical, now take turns watching. They whisper as if afraid to disturb a miracle in progress. Dr. Vega continues her experiment, though now it feels less like science and more like prayer. Each day, a new sound, each one drawn from the forests of Gabon, from a world Cholo once belonged to. Today, she tries something different, a baby's cry. Not human, gorilla, fragile, tremulous, more instinct than speech. It breaks the air like a wound reopened. The instant it plays, Cholo's eyes snap open. He rises, slow, deliberate. Each step toward the speaker is heavy with recognition. His breathing changes, faster, deeper, not fear, not agitation. Something older. He presses one palm flat against the wall, the other trembling at his side. The cry repeats. Then, softly, he hums. The sound is low, melodic, ancient, a mother's lullaby echoing through time. Behind the glass, silence falls. One handler whispers, "He thinks it's real." "No," Dr. Vega breathes. He knows it's not, but he remembers. Her hands tremble as she writes. Vocalizations, posture, eye dilation. Every detail confirms her growing theory. Cholo was taken too young to forget. She digs into old records, poaching reports, confiscated trafficking logs. Each line brings her closer. The region, the troop size, the approximate age. Then she finds it. A female killed in the same raid. A mother. Her vocal patterns had been recorded by a wildlife team months before. Dr. Vega retrieves the file. She plays it. A layered symphony of hums and grunts fills the enclosure, complex, tender, and heartbreakingly familiar. Cholo freezes. Then, slowly, he leans his forehead against the wall. For a full minute, he doesn't move. Then, under the cold lights, his eyes glisten. Real tears. No sobs, no roars, only stillness and sound. Because through all those years of silence, through cages and separation, he never forgot her voice. She was taken. He was caged. Yet her echo remained, carved into his bones, waiting for the forest to return. Now, one speaker brings it back. Morning bird calls, the rustle of leaves, the hollow thunder of chest beats rolling through distant canopies. And Cholo listens, not just listens, transforms. What began as an experiment has become ritual. The zoo launches its first primate sound therapy program, inspired entirely by Cholo's astonishing response. The results are undeniable. Aggression down 80%. No more charging glass. No more endless pacing. Each morning, he waits at the speaker like a pilgrim at an altar. When the recordings play, he sits. When the troop calls echo, he sways. When the baby cries return, he hums. The same lullaby that once soothed him. And when there's no sound, he sometimes begins, a deep, lonely tone, calling out, asking the silence to remember with him. Visitors stand differently now. No laughter, no shouting, only reverence. Children press palms to the glass, wide-eyed and wordless. Adults lower their voices. A sign outside reads, "Please listen with him." Then, something new happens. In the neighboring enclosure, a young female gorilla named Maji, timid, rescued from the same trade, begins to imitate him. At first, faintly, a soft grunt when he hums, a gentle sway when he rocks. The keepers watch in disbelief. They've never heard her vocalize. Over the weeks, it becomes pattern. Cholo hums, she answers. Sound becomes bridge. What memory restored in him, he now passes on. One morning, the forest sounds again. The same wild grunts from that first session. Cholo presses his hand to the wall, eyes closing. A little girl in the crowd gasps. She runs to the glass, her tiny hand outstretched. Cholo turns. He sees her. For a long moment their eyes lock. Ancient grief meeting innocent wonder. Then, gently, he mirrors her gesture. His enormous palm presses against the glass, perfectly aligned with hers. And then, the sound. A single grunt. The same call from the wild. The one he had not made in years. The child doesn't move. Neither does he. The air thickens. Time stops. The entire gallery falls into silence, a silence alive with awe. Dr. Vega watches, notebook forgotten in her lap. What began as research has become revelation. This isn't data. It's communion. A voice once silenced now sings again through glass, through time. News spreads like wildfire. The gorilla who remembers. Sound therapy in primates, a breakthrough. A call from the wild answered. But to those who've stood before Cholo, it's not about science. It's about something deeper, something holy. It's the moment humanity learns to listen again. Cholo doesn't rage now, doesn't scream, doesn't pound the walls. He listens. And when he listens, the world listens too. His story becomes legend. A story of memory, voice, and healing. Universities request his recordings. Primatologists study his recovered calls. His playlist becomes an archive, used in therapy, in education, even in art installations across the world. Visitors no longer come for spectacle. They come for silence, for reverence. Children wear headphones tuned to forest ambiance. Adults stand motionless, watching a silverback sway to the symphony of a home he may never see again. The zoo installs a plaque outside. It doesn't mention rage. It reads, "What we called rage was a memory waiting to be heard." And people stop. Because they understand. It's not just about a gorilla anymore. It's about us. About what we miss when we stop listening. About how pain speaks when given the language to do so. Cholo is older now. Silver streaks mark his fur. His movements slower, measured. But each morning, he still walks to his wall, settles beneath the speaker, and waits for the forest to greet him. Sometimes he hums. Sometimes Maji hums back, and lately others have begun to join. Faint echoes, distant rhythms, as if something ancient is awakening in them all. Cholo doesn't need to remember anymore. He's already done it. He's turned pain into connection, sound into language, memory into healing. In the final light of day, he sits beneath the glow, eyes half closed, chest rising slow. The forest whispers through the speakers. Wind, wings, distant calls. He sways, not because he's trapped, not because he's broken, but because even now he's still listening. And in that listening, the world hears him back. He never needed words. He never needed translation. All he needed was one sound, One call from the past to remind us that memory doesn't just live in minds, it lives in hearts, in rhythm, in the echoes waiting to be heard. Cholo's story isn't about captivity. It's about awakening, about what happens when we stop labeling pain as anger and start hearing it for what it truly is. Memory asking to be understood. If this story moved you, share it. Let the world hear what Cholo heard. And if you believe healing begins with listening, then listen with him.